I'm the God in this house, I'm the Alpha and the Omega, you better listen to what is a disaster, and you need to run away from him with your life. I am going to be talking about deal breakers. Top 3 deal breakers, maybe 5. Maybe I'll push it up to 5. We'll wait and see. But there are definitely 3 things that I feel that every man needs before he even proposes to you. Every man needs these 3 things before he even thinks about having sex. Like, these are essentials. Hey, what's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Samantha. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my top 3 deal breakers. And I've spoken to women who are in an abusive relationship, physically, emotionally, sexually as well. So we are blessed and privileged as women to have the right of first choice. Any guy can come and ask you out and want to marry you, but we have the choice to say yes or to say no. So I feel like these 3 things, the first 3 I'm going to mention, every single, maybe all 5 to be honest, but these 3 things are things that I feel every single man should have before he even thinks about having sex with a girl, before he even thinks about proposing marriage to a girl. So before he even finds a woman and gets married, I feel like all 3 things are so important to a man's existence. So anyway, let's get right into the juice of today's video. And the first thing that I wanted to say is that every man needs a purpose. And normally a purpose for a man manifests itself in the form of a job or work. The sad part of this, though, is that men value their work so much that it's really their first love. A man needs to have purpose and direction, first of all, so that I know that he's not going to lead me astray. He's not just going to take me down with him. But secondly, because a man who feels that he's living a meaningful life, a man whose life has purpose, direction, meaning, he's more confident in himself. And that man will be willing and actually able to harness some of my hidden talents and potential because he himself is going somewhere. And the third reason is you're made to be a helper. So if I'm going to be coming along as smart as I am, just pardon my humility, but as smart as I am, I need to know, like, what am I helping you with? Where are you going? What's your vision? What's your purpose for life? So for these reasons, definitely for me, a man needs to have purpose. And normally his purpose is indicated by work. And there have to be some signs, even if he's aspiring to have his own business one day, but there has to be some evidence that he's, what do they call it? Like a track record? Patterns prove themselves. And even Jesus said somewhere in Matthew 7, maybe around 16 to 20, somewhere there, Jesus said, you will know them by their fruit. So there has to be signs of fruitfulness. Like, no, we can't at our age, honestly, just be dating and marrying. Oh, I plan to one day. Anyway, so that's deal breaker number 1. And number 2 is a big one too. And it actually took some relationships for me to get to learn this one. And I also have been talking to some married people. I know some married people who've gone and actually told me and I'm talking about people who are in marriage for like 20 plus years, that this thing here is so important. A man needs a mentor. And the reason men need mentors is that they are visually stimulated. Men learn by seeing. The same way a man will see you and be attracted to you and run after you and want to get your phone number, get to know you, he is stimulated by what he sees. He has to see first. And even 10, 20, 30 years into marriage, he is still the same man and he is still that same boy who is visually stimulated. So men learn by example. Men learn by seeing other men. So when they see another man model what it's like to be a good husband, it's easier for them to then be a good husband. And when they see another male man model what it's like to be a good father, it's easier for them to do the same. Men learn by seeing, not so much by sitting down and taking notes. Have you ever wondered or noticed, I'm sure you may have if you ever thought about it, the same thing that a woman will say to a man he would call it nagging, and she talks too much and she nags. But if another man says it, it's like, food for thought. And it's like, he's smart, like, smart man. And it makes sense. All of a sudden it makes sense because another man has said it. And what happens also with men is because men are not very expressive with their emotions, they don't talk as much as we do. We can have girlfriends and we can empty out all our grievances and stuff to one another. Men don't usually do that. So when they're hanging out with their boys, it's all fun and it's an outlet that they're just having fun to outlet. Like, let's say they're having all the stress and pressure, they keep this in this bottle compartmentalized here, and the boys are out, we're out to have fun and forget about that problem there. So when a man has a mentor, it should be somebody who he can really outlet and talk to and let know the things that he's dealing with, the things that even his wife may not be able to understand, and help him through. So a mentor is really a big deal, first of all, because when a man is able to submit himself to another man and able to honestly ask for another man's counsel and be willing to take that advice and put it into action, that man will understand that submission is not something that is done to you. He will not force himself to you. He will not be like the alpha and the omega of your house. He's not imposing. A man without a mentor is a disaster, and you need to run away from him with your life. A man without a mentor, actually majority of the men, and I've spoken to women who are in an abusive relationship, physically, emotionally, sexually as well, and psychologically, most of these men, 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, are actually men who don't have another man who speaks reason to them, somebody who guides them and advises them. They don't take advice from any man. In their minds, they don't need another man to tell them what to think or to tell them what to do. So they don't even really have male friends that they keep close to. They may appear to have friends, but they actually don't have men whose counsel they take. So this man is a dangerous man, because when this man is not submitted to anybody else, he's not going to understand what submission is. So a man without a mentor will not understand leadership, will not really understand his leadership role in your life. This man will abuse his power and his authority, and he will try and subdue you, and it'll be forceful, and it's like, I'm the man, I said it, so you better do it. So the third thing I want to talk about is not really a deal breaker, but I feel like it's something that's important for us to share between us girls. And if there are guys in the house, please let us know what you think. And if you agree with this, let me know in the comment section below. But what I wanted to add is that I feel every man wants and needs acceptance. The moment we meet someone, we're already thinking what we can change about them. 90, if not 99% of our conversation, I'm a girl and I know we are always talking about guys, but it's one of those big things that we do when we meet him. We're like, I really like him, but there's always a but with us, and we're always thinking I will change that. So whether subconsciously or consciously, we generally have this thing that we want to change men, and that's wrong, and we need to stop. For example, if he's not saved, oh my goodness. I met a guy, story time. I met a guy online. I decided to try out online dating. So I met this guy, we started chatting. Amazing guy. Girls, this guy is handsome, great job, well-traveled. I enjoy conversation. So for me, my top on my list is a guy I can talk to. We could have conversation for days. And I'm someone who talks a lot. Clearly, I have a YouTube channel. So it was around the lockdown time as well. So we would even stream movies and watch movies together, and we would pause and just laugh. And such a great guy. But he was Muslim and I'm Christian. So the Bible says, don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers. So of course the temptation came, and we started talking about it, and I told him, I was like, we actually can't really date. because we were still chatting and being friends. And I've made a decision a while ago to stop kissing frogs. We'll talk about that another time. So anyone I'm meeting, like, we have to develop a friendship, and we just have to get to know each other as individuals. So if we don't have an interest with each other, we just like back off, and it's still okay. So I spoke to this guy, and I told him, we were talking about it, I was like, we actually can't, even though we get along, and we met through these circumstances, like through a dating thing, we couldn't. But he didn't have a problem with it. And most Muslim guys don't actually have a problem with dating non-Muslim women, because they'll convert. And he said honestly, like, no, I don't mind dating a Christian girl. Like, it's not a big deal. And then I was like, it is a big deal to me, because like, the word says so, kind of thing. But anyway, the point of my story, where was I going with this? That's how nice the guy was. Like, look at me, I'm like even blushing. Where was I going with this? Yeah. Okay. Now I remember, I was talking about acceptance. So naturally you're thinking like, oh, maybe let me just, the more I stay with him, when he really gets to know about Christ, I'll lead him to the Lord. And then when he's saved, we can really have an amazing relationship. We can be equally yoked later. And that is one thing that we always do. Most of us feel like, if a man is not saved, it's okay, let's just date him anyway, because we can lead him to the Lord, we'll be his savior. And that's wrong. That's wrong. That is wrong, ladies. We need to stop. We need to stop with that. Honestly, we need to stop. Anyway, so another deal breaker for me, guys will probably kill me for this, but the girls, you might like me for this, is the issue of privacy. So I like transparency. I like transparency in my relationship. So why would you want to be with me if there's a part of you that you want to keep for yourself, or you want to keep hidden? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I was with a guy, and it was so funny. He was like so crazy about this whole my privacy thing, but I was not. So because I was not, initially, it took a while for this to really manifest and to reveal itself. But from the get-go, like, I was okay with him like holding my phone or using my phone and whatever, And he would go through my phone, and he would ask me like, oh, where did you take the selfie? Like, who did you take the selfie for? You never sent it to me, kind of thing. And I would just tell him like, oh my gosh, there's some times where you think you're looking so good, and you just take selfies of yourself. And then you check the photo out and you're like, it's just the cameras do that to you. So that's exactly what I had done. And I remember him asking me like, oh, who did you take the selfie off for? And I told him it was just like that. And he used to even go through my messages, my WhatsApp, and I had no problem. Hear me out. I had no problem with it, because he would go through my phone and be like, oh, like, who's this John? Or, who's this Paul you're talking to? And I'm like, oh no, it's just a colleague. And of course, you're holding the phone. You can, if there's anything in there, you're going to be able to tell. But for him, he would do this thing where if you're sitting together and he wants to like unlock his phone, he would do like this, like if you're sitting, he would like tilting it to the side. And I was like, so I was like, I was never interested in his phone. Like, I'm not interested. But the moment you start doing that and we are in a relationship, I was like, what's up with that? Like, if you just unlock your phone and you act normal, everything is fine. So later on, anyway, another incident, I was on his phone because I was doing something. He'd asked me to do some document or whatever thing on his phone. And then I mistakenly just landed in his photos. I wasn't even going there on purpose. Like, I was not spying on him or anything. So I immediately saw a selfie that he had taken of himself. So I promise you guys, the only reason I said this was because he had done the same thing to me like 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior. Maybe even not even that long, but it was recent. So because I saw this picture, I just said to him, oh, You never sent this selfie to me. Who did you take this selfie for? Oh, he flipped out. He's like, what? I give you my phone just to do this one thing for me, and the next thing is you're going through my photos. What? And the same guy, if you ever asked him, like, if you're not like the same place and you ask him like what he's up to, like, or what is he doing for his weekend or stuff, he's like, are you trying to keep tabs on me? Ladies and gentlemen out there, please help me to understand what that behavior is all about. But personally, I could be wrong, but I think there's a reason why somebody would flip out like that. Is this right? So the funny thing is, what I found to be really, really funny and quite manipulative is the fact that he's okay with going through my phone and asking me who I'm texting, going through my messages and going through my pictures and asking me about them. I'm just like, no, it's so-and-so, who cares, you know. But for him, he flipped. I'm not saying like we should all be the same, but please help me to understand. Is it possible that somebody just wants to have their privacy for themselves without it being related to having something to hide? I just like transparency. So if somebody is not able to give that, for me, it's definitely a deal breaker. It's a deal breaker because if you are not growing together, you're definitely going to grow apart. Okay, so number one, we said a man needs to have a purpose, and definitely a lazy man is a deal breaker. Like, no, we're not doing that. And number two was that he needs to have a mentor. Number three, we talked about acceptance, that every man needs to be accepted. That was not really a deal breaker. We have to be both believers. It's a deal breaker for me. If we are not speaking the same language, like if we don't pray to the same God, that's definitely a deal breaker. And number four is the secrecy. So number five, I really let my guard down so much that I let myself into an abusive relationship. So guys and girls, abuse of any kind is a deal breaker. If I tell you the stories that I've gone through, you will not even believe it. So I have had a history of like abuse in terms of like I've seen my own mom go through like being beaten and physical abuse. Anyway, I've talked about all of that in separate videos. I'll leave them linked in the cards and in the description box, somewhere here and in the description box, so you can check them out. So I never really thought like I would go through that kind of abuse with a guy, because first of all, I know the physical abuse. You can see it. If a guy raises his hand, you're going to run and you're going to go. But emotional and psychological abuse is totally different. You don't even see it coming. And this person will lead you to believe that there's something wrong with you. They'll make you doubt yourself. And I remember, if I tell you, you may not even believe this, guys. I was called ugly. We were not even fighting. Funny enough, I was with this guy and we were just driving. I can't remember where we were driving, but it was like a weekend and we were just hanging out. And he stopped at the signal and he stopped and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, ugly." And I was like, "Ugly? How? And he says, "Oh, I was just joking." And it sat with me for so long. You know, after a while, I started to feel ugly. I am not Naomi Campbell and I am not Halle Berry. I know that for a fact. But for you to call me ugly and you're dating me and then you tell me that I'm beautiful and that you love me, they play with your mind. So in one moment, he's rewarding you with so much love and affection and positive affirmation that you're beautiful, that you're smart. And then the next thing is, the same guy called me stupid. You know, he would say, maybe you're having a discussion which turns into a disagreement. And then when he gets angry, he bursts out. And when he bursts out, he'll call you things like, "You're so stupid." So, okay, fine. Now the dust has settled. We're not fighting anymore. What did you mean when you said I'm stupid? Then he'll say, "No, it was just in the heat of the moment, but I called you stupid because you caused me to call you that." So it was always like, even if I say the worst thing to you, it's your fault. You're the one who provoked me to the degree that I needed to say that thing to you. So this is, of course, okay, fine, this is when you're fighting. But when he called me ugly, we were not fighting. There was no fight whatsoever. And the same guy would give me silent treatment. So if if we were like within a disagreement and we are really not seeing eye to eye, he would like hang up and just give me silent treatment. But because I'm somebody who wants to go after peace, I started the worst decision of my life was to actually start going to him to make peace. I would go to him and make peace and be like, listen, I'm so sorry, and apologize for my part. So what we need to realize is that an apology is not always an admission of guilt. An apology can just be for peace. You can apologize and say, I'm sorry to someone, not because you're saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong, but I'm sorry is like, let there be peace. So it had become such a habit. Eventually, I decided, I was like, you know what, maybe I talk too much, or maybe I'm going to seek peace too soon or too quickly. So I decided to kind of like just break off and break away and just to leave it. And I was like, you know what, let me just wait it out and see how long this can really go for. Maybe I'm going to get peace too quickly. He waited it out 10 weeks, not 10 days, 10 weeks, holding out, silent treatment. How? Like, I don't understand. And his reasoning was that that's how he always dealt with things, even with his family. That's how he deals with things. He goes quiet. So the first day was like, okay, second, okay, third, okay. The first 3 days, of course, are the hardest. And then you went 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks. I had resolved in my mind that I'm not going to break the silence. And I didn't. So eventually after 10 weeks, he came and he broke the silence. But it was like breaking the silence, like, I can't do this. I don't want to be with you, because he couldn't handle it. Abusive people reward you with love. And at the same time, they punish you by withdrawing that love. So what they are dishing out to you, they can't even handle themselves. I have to say this, ladies and guys, when you are planning to get into marriage, when you are really deciding that this is someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with, go to good counselors. Premarital counseling is so important. It will reveal so many things to you that you can easily miss. Because the people who you're approaching as counselors, especially if they are spirit-filled ministers, they will see through some of these things. They really will. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope my deal breakers make sense to you. And if you have experienced any of this, or if you're with someone that kind of makes you feel diseased about yourself, somebody who makes you doubt yourself, somebody who makes you, just question yourself, your sanity, who makes you feel invalid, who invalidates your thoughts, your feelings, just really look out for this stuff, because there are a lot of messed up people out there, and I don't know if people actually know that they're being abusive. That's actually my biggest question is, I wish I could ask some of these people, like, do you actually know that you're doing this? And there's so many more people who have gone through worse and crazier things than I'm talking about now, but those are their stories to tell. And one day when I have permission, I'll share their stories without disclosing their names, of course. And we just help each other. We grow and we learn. So if you are in any abusive relationship, you need to be able to pick up those signs. But before I go, one last piece of advice is follow your peace. If someone is not sitting well with you on your heart, don't do it. This guy, every time I wanted to pull away, every time I felt like, you know what, this is not right, this relationship is not okay. And when I decided, like, I was pulling away so that I can just kind of take time for myself and to think clearly and just to step away and to step out of it. Every time I did, he would like bombard me with love. Like I told you, they reward you with love and then they punish you by withdrawing that love. So they create this dependency on you. And my biggest question is, do they know? Do they know, or do they do this on purpose? Like, they know that they're trying to control you, or they just, it's a literal disorder and they don't even know that they have it. Anyway, guys, we can talk all day, all night. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up. Catch up with me, hang out with me in the comment section below. Also catch me on Instagram at Samantha Dika. Always look forward to hanging out with you and chilling with you, talking to you. So share your thoughts, comments, and feedback with me in the comment section below. Till next time, till later, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you on the next one.